On July 21, 2020, the Reedsburg Police Department in Wisconsin received a missing person report from a man claiming to be the ex-husband of Rosaly Cindy Chavarria Rodriguez, a 25-year-old Peruvian woman, according to the initial statement. Rodriguez had not contacted her family for weeks, which was unusual as she regularly video called her parents in Peru daily at the same time. This sudden disruption alarmed her family, especially since they knew she was approximately 4 months pregnant. The missing person report described Rodriguez as a woman with long black hair, working at Sprecher's restaurant and pub in Lake Delton, Wisconsin, and living in Reedsburg, about 15 miles southwest of the Wisconsin Dells tourist area. So, what caused Rodriguez to vanish without a trace? To uncover the details, let's dive into the case and investigate the truth together. And don't forget to like and subscribe to ensure you don't miss any new true crime cases. Rodriguez, a Peruvian citizen, had come to the U.S. to work and build a better life for herself and her 9-year-old daughter, who was living with her grandmother in Peru. Co-workers described her as youthful, quiet, sweet, and kind. At Sprecher's, she worked as a pantry cook for about 2 weeks before disappearing. Prior to that, she had been employed at Wilderness Resort, a well-known resort in Wisconsin Dells. Rodriguez's life appeared stable, with steady employment and close family ties, making her sudden disappearance a significant mystery. The Reedsburg police immediately launched an investigation. They contacted Sprecher's and learned that Rodriguez had not shown up for work since July 2, 2020. Co-workers confirmed she showed no signs of quitting or leaving without notice. The police also reviewed Rodriguez's personal records and discovered she was in a romantic relationship with a man named Jose Eduardo Dominguez Garcia, 24, who also worked at Sprecher's. Garcia was among the first people the police interviewed, though he was not initially considered a formal suspect. Identifying Rodriguez early in the investigation proved challenging, as she was a foreign national with limited local personal records. The police collected physical descriptions from her family and co-workers, noting her long black hair and that she often wore a Sprecher's uniform while working. They also requested DNA samples from her family in Peru for potential identification purposes. Meanwhile, a missing person alert was issued across Wisconsin in hopes of finding Rodriguez alive. The Reedsburg police collaborated with the Chippewa County Sheriff's Department and other agencies to expand the search. They checked places Rodriguez frequented, including the restaurant, the Wisconsin Dells area, and her Reedsburg apartment. However, there were no signs she had left the area voluntarily. Interviews with friends and co-workers yielded no solid leads. Some speculated that Rodriguez might have encountered trouble related to personal relationships, but no one provided concrete information. During this time, Rosaly Cindy Chavarria Rodriguez's family, particularly her father, Jose Chavarria, remained in constant contact with the police from Peru. He described his daughter as hardworking, family-oriented, and ambitious about studying to improve her life. Her sudden lack of communication led him to suspect something serious had happened. Chavarria noted that his daughter often shared details about her life in the U.S., including her relationship with Jose Eduardo Dominguez Garcia. But she had recently stopped mentioning him, which concerned him. The police also confirmed that Rodriguez was pregnant, a detail verified through medical records from a visit on June 18, 2020, when she was diagnosed as 7 weeks and 5 days pregnant. This information heightened the urgency of the search, as both Rodriguez's life and that of her unborn child were potentially at risk. However, for nearly 3 months after the missing person report, no significant progress was made, and the case appeared to stall, leaving Rodriguez's family increasingly desperate. On October 14, 2020, a major breakthrough occurred when the Chippewa County Sheriff's Department received a tip from an informant in a drug investigation. The informant revealed that a body was hidden inside a purple suitcase at an abandoned farm in the town of Wheaton, Chippewa County, located along the Highway T corridor between 20th and 30th Avenues. Police quickly responded and discovered the body of a woman, severely decomposed, stuffed inside a suitcase at a farmhouse. The body was wearing black leggings and a black t-shirt with the Sprecher's restaurant and pub logo, matching the description of Rodriguez. Due to the advanced decomposition, immediate identification was impossible. The police suspected it was Rodriguez based on the clothing and long hair, but required DNA confirmation. The body was sent to a crime lab in Texas for analysis, while awaiting results. The Chippewa County authorities worked with Reedsburg to further investigate individuals connected to Rodriguez, particularly Garcia, who had left the area shortly after her disappearance, on September 29, 2021, nearly a year after the body was found. The lab at the University of North Texas confirmed that the DNA matched the sample provided by Rodriguez's family. The victim was officially identified as Rosaly Cindy Chavarria Rodriguez, 25, and her unborn child had also perished. This information was announced by the Chippewa County Sheriff's Department on October 4, 2021, marking the first step toward resolving the case. Rodriguez's family was notified, but they were unable to hold a funeral as the body was still retained for the ongoing investigation. After confirming Rodriguez's identity, the police shifted their focus to identifying the perpetrator, Jose Eduardo Dominguez Garcia, Rodriguez's boyfriend. Quickly became the primary suspect based on initial clues. Garcia, 24 at the time of the incident, was a Reedsburg resident and worked alongside Rodriguez at Sprecher's. He was known to be in a romantic relationship with the victim, and according to Rodriguez's family, the two were legally married, though their relationship was described as toxic. The Reedsburg police interviewed Garcia on July 23, 2020, shortly after Rodriguez was reported missing. During the interview, Garcia claimed that he and Rodriguez had broken up on July 4, 2020, after he discovered she was cheating. He also stated that Rodriguez had revealed the unborn child she was carrying was not his, but belonged to another man. Garcia said the last time he saw Rodriguez was before their breakup, and he had no knowledge of her whereabouts. However, the police noted inconsistencies in Garcia's statement, particularly his calm demeanor and repeated insistence that he was uninvolved. A significant clue emerged when the police discovered that Garcia had visited Sprecher's on July 23, 2020, a day after quitting his job there, to collect Rodriguez's final paycheck. This action raised suspicions, as it was unclear why Garcia would collect money on Rodriguez's behalf if they had separated. The police also reviewed surveillance footage from the Wisconsin Dells area and found Garcia's red 2003 Volkswagen Jetta on Highway T on July 23rd, near the area where Rodriguez's body was later discovered. On August 26, 2020, the police located Garcia's Jetta abandoned in the Wisconsin Dells area. Upon inspecting the vehicle, they found a red gelatinous substance, along with dead flies and maggots in the trunk. An experienced homicide detective determined that this was indicative of bodily fluids from a decomposing body, suggesting the trunk may have been used to transport Rodriguez's body. Additionally, the car emitted a strong foul odor, detectable from 5 feet away. These findings strengthened suspicions that Garcia was directly involved in Rodriguez's disappearance. The police continued investigating Jose Eduardo Dominguez Garcia's activities after July 23rd. They discovered he had purchased a new phone in Eau Claire, near the abandoned farm where the body was found. Furthermore, Garcia appeared to have left Wisconsin shortly after his police interview, making it difficult to track him. Attempts to contact Garcia failed, and he was believed to have fled the area, possibly leaving the United States. In December 2021, after Rosaly Cindy Chavarria Rodriguez's identity was confirmed, Chippewa County District Attorney Wade Newell formally charged Garcia with 3 counts first-degree intentional homicide, first-degree homicide of an unborn child, and hiding a corpse. An arrest warrant was signed by Judge James Isaacson on December 15, 2021. However, at this point, Garcia remained at large, and the police were uncertain whether he was still in the United States or had fled to another country. Newell emphasized that pursuing the charges was necessary to provide closure for Rodriguez's family, stating they would seek to extradite Garcia if he was located. The manhunt for Garcia lasted nearly 2 years, involving coordination among multiple law enforcement agencies, including the Reedsburg Police Department, Chippewa County, and federal authorities. The police suspected Garcia might be hiding in southern U.S. states or may have returned to his home country. However, no concrete leads surfaced until November 23, 2023, when a breakthrough occurred in Gladstone, Missouri. At approximately 12:34 a.m., the Gladstone Police Department's automated license plate reader system detected a red Ford Fusion with a stolen license plate. Officers located the vehicle in a parking lot in the 400 block of Northwest Inglewood Road. Upon approaching the driver, they noticed he possessed multiple identification cards and provided several false names. After verification, the police identified the man as Jose Eduardo Dominguez Garcia, 26, wanted in Chippewa County for charges related to Rodriguez's murder. Garcia was arrested without resistance and detained at the Clay County Detention Center in Missouri, awaiting extradition to Wisconsin. Garcia's arrest resulted from modern technology and law enforcement collaboration. Gladstone Police Captain Carl Burris noted that the flock camera system played a critical role in identifying the stolen vehicle. Leading to the arrest, former Chippewa County Sheriff Jim Kowalczyk expressed satisfaction that the case had finally progressed. Noting it was the only unsolved homicide during his tenure, Kowalczyk emphasized that the investigation had been lengthy and required efforts from multiple agencies. But Garcia's arrest was a significant step toward justice. Following his arrest, Garcia was transported back to Chippewa County on November 30, 2023. During the interrogation process, Garcia confessed that on the day of the incident, he and Rodriguez had an argument in his car in a fit of anger. He grabbed her by the neck, and while navigating a turn, the car's inertia caused her strangulation and death. He stated that at the time, the victim was pregnant, and it was possible she knew the unborn child might not be his. This may have been the reason for their conflict, leading to such a heated argument. To make her family believe she was still alive, Jose Eduardo Dominguez Garcia used Rosaly Cindy Chavarria Rodriguez's phone to simulate calls between himself and the victim with friends and family, suggesting she was still alive. He continued to collect and withdraw money from her paychecks. He changed her bank access card, withdrew money from her account, changed her PIN, and used her debit card to purchase gas and pay for hotel stays. Additionally, after her death, Garcia accessed various websites, researching how long a human body would take to decompose, how to travel to Mexico, searching for storage units, and looking for housing in Mexico. At some point, he moved to Missouri, found a new girlfriend, married her, and had a daughter there. Garcia appeared in court via video on December 7, 2023 with bail set at $1 million. Rodriguez's family, through their attorney Julius Andriusis, expressed relief that Garcia was finally facing justice. Rodriguez's father, Jose Chavarria, sent a statement to the court, saying, "I will never regain the love for my daughter, which this murderous criminal stole, taking my greatest treasure." The trial of Jose Eduardo Dominguez Garcia began with significant legal developments in early 2025. On January 8, 2025, Garcia reached a plea agreement with the prosecution. Under this deal, the charge of first-degree intentional homicide was reduced to first-degree reckless homicide. The remaining two charges, homicide of an unborn child and hiding a corpse, were included in the record for sentencing consideration, but not prosecuted separately. Garcia entered a no-contest plea, meaning he did not admit guilt but accepted the conviction. The plea deal sparked controversy within Rodriguez's family, particularly with her father, Jose Chavarria. He believed Garcia deserved the maximum sentence of up to 60 years in prison for taking two lives, his daughter and her unborn child. Chavarria described Garcia's actions as cruel and devoid of compassion, emphasizing that the court should not show leniency to such a criminal. The Rodriguez family was also disappointed because they had not yet been able to hold a funeral for their daughter, as her body was still held for investigative purposes. The sentencing hearing took place on May 2, 2025, at the Chippewa County Courthouse. Presided over by Judge James Isaacson, the hearing drew attention from local and national media, with Rodriguez's family, including Jose Chavarria, who traveled from Peru, in attendance. Chavarria addressed the court in Spanish through an interpreter. Expressing his grief and outrage toward Garcia, he said, "Standing before a criminal who killed my daughter is difficult. He stole the greatest treasure of my life. He has no compassion, no regard for human life, not even for his own child." Prosecutor Wade Newell requested the maximum sentence of 40 years in prison and 20 years of supervised release. Newell argued that the case involved the loss of 2 lives and that Garcia's actions demonstrated a lack of respect for human value. He also dismissed Garcia's claim that Rodriguez died from being strangled by a seatbelt in a car accident, calling it an absurd excuse that blamed the victim. Newell emphasized that Garcia had planned the crime, even sending fake messages from Rodriguez's phone to deceive her family into believing she was alive. The defense argued that Garcia had no prior criminal record and that his actions stemmed from a toxic relationship. They requested a lighter sentence of approximately 20 years. As recommended by the Department of Corrections pre-sentencing investigation report. However, Judge Isaacson ultimately sentenced Garcia to 25 years in prison and 15 years of supervised release. This sentence was lower than the maximum sought by Rodriguez's family, leaving them feeling that justice had not been fully served. Chavarria told the press after the hearing, "This criminal, Jose Eduardo Dominguez Garcia, I hope he rots in prison. He showed no compassion for 2 lives." Judge James Isaacson also ordered the release of Rosaly Cindy Chavarria Rodriguez's body to her family on May 2, 2025, allowing them to hold a funeral. This decision provided some solace. But Jose Chavarria stressed that the pain of losing his daughter would never fade. He described Rodriguez as a family-oriented, hard-working young woman with dreams of furthering her education. He hoped she would be remembered for her positive qualities, not just as the victim of a horrific crime. The case of Rosaly Cindy Chavarria Rodriguez was not only a personal tragedy, but also offered lessons about the justice system, investigative technology, and the impact of violence against pregnant women. The case garnered attention due to its brutality and the persistence of law enforcement in pursuing the perpetrator. For Rodriguez's family, the case was a painful journey lasting over 4 years. From her disappearance to the sentencing of the perpetrator, Jose Chavarria and his family faced not only the grief of losing their daughter, but also the frustration of delayed access to her body. Rodriguez's 9-year-old daughter, now living with her grandmother in Peru, must grow up without her mother, a wound that will be difficult to heal legally. The case highlighted the importance of coordination among law enforcement agencies. Jose Eduardo Dominguez Garcia's arrest in Missouri demonstrated the effectiveness of technologies like the Flock license plate reader system, increasingly used across the U.S. However, the 25-year sentence sparked debate, with many arguing it was not commensurate with the severity of the crime, particularly given the loss of both a pregnant woman and her unborn child. The case also fueled discussions about violence against pregnant women, a sensitive issue in American society. Statistics show that pregnant women face a heightened risk of domestic violence, and Rodriguez's case is a tragic example. Women's rights organizations have called for increased education, support for pregnant women, and stronger legal measures to protect them. Ultimately, the case conveyed a message of perseverance in the pursuit of justice. Despite taking over 3 years to apprehend Garcia and nearly 5 years to secure a conviction, Rodriguez's family and law enforcement never gave up. The case serves as a reminder that, however delayed, justice can be achieved, offering some small comfort to those who have been harmed. The case concludes here. Thank you for following this case throughout, and I hope you found it engaging. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated on the latest cases.